Beneath the weight of lingering questions, a hidden narrative begins to unravel, threatening the core of the British monarchy. This isn't merely about pomp or tradition. It's about legacy and the raw, undeniable truth. The pivotal question arises: is the story of Prince William's lineage, the future king, truly what the public has always been told? As the veil slowly lifts, a new reality emerges, casting shadows on the monarchy's most guarded secrets, as they slowly dissolve under the revealing light of truth. Under the increasing weight of media scrutiny and public pressure, the once protective silence of the palace now feels more like a crushing burden. Is Prince William guarding a secret to protect the kingdom, or concealing a truth that could unravel the monarchy he's set to inherit? The tale is far from complete, and that question lingers. Perhaps the answer lies with you. If this story captivated you, drop a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a 0. Be sure to like, share, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another thrilling tale. Now let's jump in and start this amazing journey. The sentence that rocked the world, spoken by Prince William, was never meant to be heard. Locked away in the royal archives, buried in silence for decades, it was thought to be lost to history. Yet now, almost 40 years later, those words have resurfaced, like a ghost haunting the grand halls of Buckingham Palace, leaving a cold, lingering presence that refuses to vanish. A handwritten letter from King Charles, penned in the mid-1980s, has emerged. Within its pages rests a truth both delicate and profound, passed through the monarchy's most secure channels, a truth that has the power to upend everything we thought we knew. That simple yet profound sentence captured it all. He would never belong to her. Not because of what happened later, but because from the very start he never did. Those 7 words have the power to shatter everything the world once believed about Prince William, the heir to the throne, the golden child of the House of Windsor, the embodiment of duty and royal tradition. The truth, as painful as it may be, must be confronted, because only through truth can we find freedom and peace within ourselves. Though truth can wound, it is in its acceptance that we grow stronger, clearer, and more rooted. History and truth always find their way back to us quietly, but relentlessly demanding our courage, not our silence. And sometimes the shortest phrases hold the weight to alter entire fates, reminding us that even within the grandest realms of royalty, the human heart remains the most delicate and intricate story of all. Historians have carefully scrutinized the paper, the ink, and even the handwriting, concluding that the letter was written between late 1984 and early 1986, when Prince William was just a toddler. It was a turbulent time defined by the growing rift in Charles and Diana's marriage. While the world marveled at royal tours and the iconic balcony waves behind the scenes, the fractures had already begun to surface. This month marks the 20th anniversary of Princess Diana's tragic passing. She was just 20 years old when she married Prince Charles. According to sources close to the royal family, the letter was not a mere complaint or a hasty note written in a moment of emotion. It was a carefully composed message penned during a time of profound personal struggle and intense public scrutiny. It is believed that the letter was sent to a spiritual advisor, a figure within the Church of England, who had earned Charles's deepest trust. Some speculate it might have been addressed to a close family friend, someone who had been by Charles's side since his youth. Whoever the recipient was, the message they received was so startling, so unsuitable for public consumption, that it could never be spoken aloud. This very statement has ignited a wave of questions, chief among them who was she, the woman Prince Charles claimed Prince William would never truly belong to. While many might jump to assume he was speaking of Princess Diana Royal, historians remain uncertain. They note that the letter carries no bitterness toward Diana. Instead, it emanates a quiet sorrow, as if Charles were referencing something or someone entirely different. Could this mysterious woman have been a surrogate, a shadowy figure whose presence was deliberately erased from royal history? Or was this a hidden confession pointing to someone entirely outside the royal story we thought we understood? Perhaps a woman who carried William while Diana was cast in the public role of symbolic mother. The timing of the letter only deepens the intrigue. This letter wasn't written during the tumultuous 1990s when scandals shook the palace and headlines were filled with royal misfortunes. No, this letter was written in the mid-1980s, a time when everything appeared calm, serene even. Why? Why would Charles hold on to such a secret in what seemed like a period of peace? A former palace aide described the letter as an emotionally measured act, not a spur-of-the-moment confession, but a deliberate, carefully considered message. That single simple sentence has caused historians to rethink the timeline, to question the roles within the royal family, and to probe deeper into what the public has never been told. As the world watches Prince William, an image of calm and resilience groomed to lead it, is this revelation that could expose the fragility hiding beneath the poised exterior of the future king. That was when the carefully crafted image of Prince William began to crack, slowly revealing an open royal secret hidden in plain sight. For years, whispers lingered within the palace, dismissed as mere fantasy, idle rumors, unworthy of attention for a crown so fiercely protected. Yet now, with the chilling handwritten words of King Charles, he will never belong to her. Not quite because from the very beginning he never did, those whispers grow louder, sharper, and impossible to ignore. A theory once deemed too outrageous to consider is now demanding a second glance. But this time, it's not about Prince Harry. This time the focus turns to Prince William, and the narrative takes a darker, more unsettling twist. In the early 1980s, long before the public glimpsed the cracks in Charles and Diana's fairy tale romance, something unusual was already unfolding. Diana had been hospitalized multiple times under vague medical reasons. At the time, the official explanation was stress or personal health issues. But behind the palace walls, insiders whisper a very different story. Quiet discussions about fertility. Private meetings between doctors, royal aides, and senior advisors. If the marriage was as strained as many current palace staff now suggest, and the pressure to produce a healthy heir became overwhelming, would the royal machinery step in the crown has its own motives and wields considerable influence. Anything is possible except time. If the union between Charles and Diana was more strategic than romantic, then an heir in the public eye wasn't merely a desire, it was a requirement. And if natural conception proved difficult, would the palace entertain an alternative? This is precisely when the theory begins to gain weight. What if the surrogate mother wasn't carrying Harry but William? What if Diana was asked not to give birth, but simply to raise a child selected for the future of the monarchy? Viewed through this lens, Charles's words take on far greater significance than Diana's. Suddenly, this isn't just a broken love story, it's something much more profound, something hidden so deeply that even William himself may remain unaware. Yet the signs have always been there, unmistakable in hindsight. Diana's love for William was undeniable, fierce, unconditional at times, even overprotective. But now, royal experts are asking a heartbreaking question. Was her love for William that of a mother's protective embrace, or that of a woman guarding a child she was told to claim as her own? In handwritten notes and interviews, Diana often voiced concerns that went far beyond the constant barrage of tabloid headlines. In one letter, she wrote, "My worries for William have never lessened. I feel the boy is mine, but it still feels incomplete." At the time, those words seemed like a poetic reflection of a mother's love. But now historians are reading them through a different lens, filled with conflicted emotions, a simmering sadness, and perhaps a woman burdened by a truth too heavy to utter. A former nanny once revealed that Diana never took her eyes off William even during the long, quiet nights in the palace. It was as if she was holding on to him for dear life. The woman said Diana seemed afraid of something deeper. But we may never truly know what Diana was shielding William from, whether it was the relentless paparazzi and public scrutiny or a hidden truth she was compelled to live with. And if this theory holds, if William was not Diana's biological child, but one she was chosen to raise, what does that say about the legacy we thought we understood? What does this reveal about the woman we thought we knew? If Diana carried this secret to her grave, then what lies beneath it could change everything we believed about the future king. The untold truths surrounding Prince William's birth, could they shift everything we once trusted about Diana and the crown? Stay tuned as this story unravels. DNA has shaken the future king to his core. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep uncovering the mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. Now let's dive back into the story. Prince William was born on June 21st, 1982, under the watchful eyes of the entire royal family. "Good morning, sir." "Good morning. How is she?" "She's doing very well, thank you. She looks beautiful, but we were once adorable babies, too." To the public, Charles and Diana remained the smiling couple, dutifully playing their parts as modern parents under the world's watchful gaze. But behind those polished moments, the royal fairy tale was beginning to unravel. Now, decades later, royal historians are revisiting that timeline, not with the lens of romance, but with growing suspicion. In early 1982, palace insiders began noticing small but curious inconsistencies. Diana had a quiet hospital visit just months before William was born, an event completely unreported by the press, with no official explanation given. The palace aides only mentioned she was feeling unwell, providing no further details. And in the royal world, when silence replaces transparency, it often signals that something is being concealed. The letter, believed to have been written in the mid-1980s, but clearly referencing events surrounding William's birth, now raises more questions than answers. If Diana wasn't truly ill, could there have been another reason? Was a secret decision made, one the public was never meant to uncover? This is where a new layer of the story begins to unfold. Some royal researchers suggest that the focus shouldn't be on the father, but rather on the mother. Not because Diana was absent, unloved, or uncaring, but because she might have had no biological connection to William at all. The theory may sound extreme, but what if the truth was never meant to be extreme, just deeply buried? The details surrounding William's birth have always been tightly controlled. Yet now the royal archives from 1981 to 1983 are reportedly under a quiet review. A former royal secretary recently hinted that some documents may have been backdated or even completely replaced. Staff at the palace maintain that protocol is always followed unless, of course, the protocol itself is quietly rewritten. And that is precisely the clue that has ignited renewed whispers about a carefully chosen royal surrogate managed quietly and never publicly acknowledged. DNA has now cast a shadow over everything. For years, rumors have circulated that as Prince William entered adulthood, he began asking private questions about his bloodline, his origins, and the silences that were never meant to be confronted. Some sources suggest that a private DNA test may have been conducted around 2001, far from royal laboratories at a location that remains undisclosed. According to a former royal security officer, the results were sent in a sealed envelope to Clarence House. What happened afterward remains a mystery. Did Charles open it? Did William ever see what was inside, or was it hidden away like so many other secrets kept not only to protect the monarchy, but also to safeguard William's personal identity? If the results proved that Charles was the father, but Diana was not the mother, then every photo, every memory, and every family tradition would take on an entirely new meaning. Not a lie, but a carefully orchestrated version of the truth. And perhaps that's why the letter was written not to expose, but to wrestle with guilt. A quiet confession penned in ink by a father who may have carried that truth too heavily for too long. So how did Charles manage to conceal a truth so heavy it haunted him for decades? Stay tuned. This changes everything. A secret Charles could never voice aloud. King Charles has long projected a calm, reserved image before the public, measured words, emotions, never spilling beyond royal bounds. But now that image is starting to crack. A private letter written sometime in the mid-1980s has emerged. Its tone is gentle, its meaning profound. Just one line in that letter may be the closest we've ever come to hearing Charles speak without filters or formalities. He will never belong to her. Not really, because from the very beginning he never did. At first it sounds cold, yet read it again. Not out of suspicion, but out of sorrow. What if it wasn't about pain, but a confession? What if behind the palace doors, Charles was struggling to voice a truth too heavy to bear? This time, the mystery doesn't center on Prince Harry, but Prince William the heir, the future king, the seemingly perfect figure for the role. Yet even perfection can be a mask. Some now believe that beneath the carefully curated relationship between Charles and William lies a deeper truth, one the king may have carried since the day William was born in June 1982. Royal observers often point out that the dynamic between Charles and William seems formal, almost scripted. While the world witnessed affectionate gestures and official portraits, those behind the palace walls whispered about emotional voids. A former palace staff member remarked, "Charles seemed present, but reserved, as if he were fulfilling the role of a father rather than truly living it." Could that distance stem not from a lack of love, but from confusion, even guilt? If Charles knew or suspected that Diana had no biological connection to William, that she might have been asked to raise him as her own, then every hug, every shared moment in public would be carrying within him a shadow. The single sentence in that letter is not an accusation, it is a sorrow written in ink. The anguish of a father cloaked in royal language. And then there is William himself. From a young age, he stood out not just because of his status, but because of something far less obvious. Teachers described him as more serious than his years. Staff noticed that William often questioned his duties, his role, and why things had to be the way they were. A former nanny recalled that William was always observing, always trying to understand things others couldn't see. As he grew older, his questions deepened. While Harry acted out and rebelled, William withdrew, silent, calm, and constantly searching. He was searching for something that perhaps no one around him dared to explain. Those closest to him say he became even more withdrawn after Diana's death in 1997. Her loss was not just the death of a mother, it might have been the final lock on a door for which he never had the key. If she wasn't his biological mother and somehow he sensed this deep within his heart, then the pain he carried was more than grief. It was a yearning for answers, a longing for the truth that had always been just out of reach.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
How profoundly isolating it must be to spend a lifetime sensing that something isn't quite right without ever knowing why. And now, as this letter emerges, and Buckingham Palace braces for the fallout, the silence surrounding William's past begins to feel less like tradition and more like fear. Perhaps Prince William's silence isn't driven by duty, but by something much more human fear. The truth may finally be coming to the surface. The storm of silence surrounding the crown has never felt so intense. The palace walls, once unyielding, now seem fragile. With the letter exposed and timelines unraveling under scrutiny, silence has become Buckingham Palace's last remaining defense. But this silence is far from peaceful. It's thick with anxiety. Tense meetings have replaced family dinners, and behind every closed door, one question lingers: how much longer can the truth remain buried? Legal teams are now working around the clock. Sources confirm that a private crisis management unit previously activated during the fallout from Meghan and Harry's Oprah interview has quietly been reassembled. Their new mission to contain leaks, bury the truth, and protect the legacy of the royal family at all costs. But this is no longer just about a single letter. The real issue is what else might be out there. Letters, notes, or personal confessions, not only written by King Charles, but possibly sent to Princess Diana, or even Prince William himself. And now a quiet fear is growing behind the palace's gilded doors. Because just one more document slipping into the public's hands could do more than tarnish reputations. It could shake the very foundations of the monarchy. It could upend everything: titles, the line of succession, and the public's trust. The monarchy is facing a reckoning it was never prepared for. Legal advisors are reportedly re-examining the limits of the Official Secrets Act, searching for ways to legally bury the past. But outside the United Kingdom, foreign journalists and media outlets are not bound by the same rules. The truth may slip through cracks in the law, and once it does, it could bring the entire royal institution into uncharted territory. The truth is slowly unraveling bit by bit, and with every whisper the power of the monarchy weakens. But at the center of it all, steadfast in public, yet possibly fractured in private stands, Prince William, the future king, the steady hand of the realm. Now, he is the one man caught between preserving tradition and confronting the possibility that his entire story may have been shaped by silence.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
And now the question echoes louder than ever: did William know insiders believe he did? When William came of age, likely around the year 2000, just after his 18th birthday, Charles may have sat down with him privately, away from royal aids and formalities, and shared more than just fatherly advice about duty. One source described it as a profound conversation, the kind that changes a young man forever. What was revealed in that moment could have shaped William's understanding of his own identity and the legacy he is destined to inherit. Those closest to William noticed the change. He became more guarded, more cautious with his words, less emotionally expressive, and increasingly committed to royal protocol even when it came at a personal cost. Was that the moment the truth was passed on? For someone like William, raised in the spotlight and taught to place the institution above himself, the weight of that knowledge must have been unbearable. Every decision, every handshake, every camera flash had to be calculated. And if he had to choose between protecting his brother's right to know and preserving the image of the monarchy he was born to uphold, it seems that choice was made long ago. But that silence is no longer without consequence. William's smile has always set the tone, but this wedding will surely be beautiful. Yet beneath the surface, the unspoken truth still lingers, shaping his every move. While William maintains his composure at royal ceremonies, shaking hands, cutting ribbons, and delivering speeches, the questions continue to mount. His silence is no longer seen as a strength. It's beginning to resemble complicity. If he knows the truth about his own origins or about the family and has remained silent not just to the world but to Harry, then the betrayal is no longer just royal. It's deeply personal. And in Montecito, California, where Prince Harry now lives with Meghan, the response couldn't be more different. There is no silence, no strained smiles, only a growing demand for answers. Sources close to the Sussexes say Meghan is urging Harry to pursue the truth more fully than ever, no matter what stands in the way. And what if Meghan's pursuit of the truth uncovers a secret that even William can no longer outrun? Be patient. The Queen, the gatekeeper, and the truth about William. As the quiet storm surrounding Prince William steadily gains strength, one name continues to linger just beyond the curtain. If the crown of St. Edward was worn only once, it was by Queen Elizabeth II. For over 7 decades, she was the final authority in royal matters, the guardian of tradition, the keeper of secrets. No one dared to question her. And now, as questions mount about a hidden truth from William's early life, the late Queen's silence no longer seems neutral. It begins to look like a strategy. A strategy carefully orchestrated to shield the monarchy and perhaps the truth until it could no longer be contained. Those close to the Queen say she witnessed everything. Every record, every medical file, every sealed letter was kept among family members. If there was a private document from Charles, one implying William's origins, it almost certainly passed across her desk. She must have known. Yet nothing was ever publicly spoken about. No edits, no denials, just a calm, steely wall forged over time. Some within the royal circle now believe she was not ignoring the matter. She handled it quietly, carefully behind closed doors. A former aide remarked, she didn't react outwardly. She planned. Could her sudden push for family reconciliation in her final years have been more than just an emotional closure? Could it have been an attempt to prepare the monarchy for a truth it was never meant to face? In 2022, during her final in-person meeting with William at Windsor, observers described the moment as tender and filled with unspoken emotions. But in hindsight, some now wonder if that encounter was her way of conveying the truth to the one man destined to inherit not only the crown, but also its shadows. If she knew and kept it secret, then William inherited more than just the throne. He inherited a secret greater than the crown itself, a truth not tied to scandal, but to identity. For a monarchy built on bloodline legacy and public perception, that singular truth might be the thread woven through everything William was raised to protect. The weight of that knowledge could explain the distance and restraint in his relationship with the public and his family, as he quietly carries the legacy of both the monarchy and its most deeply guarded secret. And what if William not only inherits the throne, but also a secret that could destroy everything it stands for? Stay tuned. The question of lineage may haunt William forever. For Prince William, everything has always pointed toward a single path, the throne. The Prince and Princess of Wales have unique sleeping arrangements at Kensington Palace, a symbol of their carefully curated public life. And from his very first steps at Kensington Palace to his solemn presence at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, he has carried his responsibilities quietly and precisely. Yet beneath that composure lies the weight of a legacy that may not be as simple as it appears. What if the truth once revealed could unravel everything he has been raised to protect? But beneath the surface of tradition, portraits, and ceremony, a deeper question is beginning to emerge. A question that could shake the very bloodline William was born to represent. What if the truth behind William's birth is not what the public has been told? In the British monarchy, lineage is not just symbolic, it is law. Every royal roll, every title, every order of succession is based on proven ancestral origins. The foundation of the monarchy itself rests on bloodlines that trace back centuries, and any challenge to that lineage could unravel the very structure of power. As the whispers grow louder, the question remains, how much of what we know is truly the whole truth? And if the questions now revolve not around his brother Harry, but around William himself, the impact would be monumental. William is not just a senior royal, he is the direct heir. If doubts arise about the details of his biological origins, it would not only affect him personally, but could also shake the very foundation of the entire monarchy. Lawmakers are actively considering the potential consequences. A constitutional expert remarked, "The crown is not an individual. It is an institution built on bloodline. If that link is broken even by suspicion, the monarchy will face unprecedented challenges." Suddenly, decisions made in the past seem less like tradition and more like preparation. The stability of the monarchy, long believed to be unshakable, now faces its most uncertain moment. For example, why has there been such precision in William's public appearances in recent years? Why is so much personal information so tightly controlled, even as public pressure for transparency increased during the Queen's final months? Now, with whispers of sealed documents, quietly reassigned titles, and a final letter reportedly written by Charles before the Queen's passing, some insiders believe a new motive is slowly becoming clearer. As the pieces begin to fall into place, it seems the royal family is bracing for something far beyond mere protocol. The control, the secrecy, the meticulous management of public perception, it all starts to suggest that there may be more at play than just protecting the monarchy's image. Not anger, but restraint. A deliberate silence meant to shield the monarchy from an identity crisis it may never recover from. But what about William's silence? He continues to perform composed, steady, unshaken in public. Yet those who know him say the pressure is mounting. If he knows even just a part of the truth and chooses to remain silent, is that loyalty to the crown, or is it a betrayal of the people who trusted him to lead with honesty? The weight of the monarchy's legacy rests on his shoulders, but with each unspoken word, the cost of that silence grows ever more profound. If you found this story intriguing and want to dive deeper into the mysteries surrounding Prince William and the British monarchy, don't forget to like this video to show your support. Share it with friends and anyone fascinated by the dramatic and unexpected twists behind royal life. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any videos in our series uncovering the untold stories and hidden truths of royal families around the world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.